Alright, so here we go. We got a John boat we're going to build a casting deck for. Basically, I'm going to build the front half of this from here forward as a casting deck to put my foot control trolling motor on it so we can start fishing some of the bigger ponds around here, bigger lakes around here. But we're going to get this done today, hopefully. At least everything but the carpet, and we'll show you what it looks like as we go. Alright, y'all. Alright, so this is where we at in my build so far. What I've done is to set up a frame for the deck, and it's pretty level with the bench seat here all the way up to the edge. And what I'm going to do is have a little lip and then go into another section of the front deck. I did it this way because it'll make the platform a lot more level. This bench seat and the front seat here is going to be basically a little bit higher on the front than it would be in the back. So I can't really make it level any other way. So that's what I'm doing. And for the trolling motor, I'm going to make a two-part mount, and I'll show how to do that too. This wood has been water sealed, and I am going to do plywood, and it's going to also have a boat cover on it during the when I'm not using it, so it should last pretty good while. I was going to do aluminum, but I can't weld, so you know, it is what it is. But this will work for what I need to do, and it'll get me on the water, so that's all that matters. We'll keep you all updated. So I am done with stage one, which is cutting the boards and getting everything set. I've got my frame done. That's my frame. I went with 2x3s, studs, water sealed them, got everything ready. Basic frame. I might do a hatch at some point, but for starting out, I'm not going to do a hatch. See how stable it is without the hatch. And then if it's very stable, I might add a hatch later. But then I cut my plywood to fit, and I'll show y'all what that looks like. Slide it up. And I still got to add carpet. That's the only thing I haven't added. But that's what she looks like right now without the carpet. I'm going to add carpet here soon, and then nail her down, and then build the trolling motor mount. And we'll show you all as we go. Thank you. So I just want to kind of touch up my John boat build. It's kind of like a recap of what y'all saw so far. In the beginning, you saw the bare boat and kind of my plans for it. Then you saw the frame, and then you saw the plywood that I cut for it and the finished frame. Some things I would change if I was to build this boat again or build this deck again, which the next time I do the plywood, which will be in about 2 years. I'll replace that about every 2 years, and the carpet at the same time, or just based on wear and tear. So we'll see how that goes. But what I would do differently is I also would add another stud on the back of the bench. So I did the stud at the first bench, and then I did the stud on the front side of the middle bench, and then I would do a stud on the second bench. The reason why is because I can already tell right now, based on the plywood, it's starting to kind of lift up a little bit, and that's over a period of time. Obviously it has water sealed, but you know, it's sitting in the sun, drying up, and then getting moist again. It's going to cause that thing to kind of move around a little bit. So I would add a stud on the back side of that bench too, and then just give you another point to screw down, and then also would give it a real clean finish, because you could also add another piece of the board. So you would have the bench, you'd have a stud here, stud on the front bench, stud on this back bench, and then you could also add a flush corner on that to screw in stuff to knot to the metal, just another piece of plywood maybe. Like if you wanted to add like organizers or anything like that, little pockets or anything, that would give you another spot for that. So that would be what I'm going to change for the next time I redo that. But until then, I'm not worried about it. It works really well. But when I do that, I'll just buy a sheet of plywood, unscrew it, cut it, put carpet on it, and then throw it back down. It'll be really easy, so it shouldn't be a big deal. The one thing you didn't see, and I'm sorry for not videoing it, it was the how I did the carpet. So a lot of people use glue. I live in the state of Florida, so the one thing I was concerned about was heat on the glue and maybe pulling it up. So Loctite glue is what a lot of people use. They use a Loctite cement and then just wrap it around there, and it works really well. I've seen a lot of other videos that do it. But the one thing that I wanted to do was do something a little different, try something a little different. So I used staples. I stapled it and then stretched it out. I got a little bit of play in it, but it's not enough to like do anything. It's more like if I was to grab the carpet and lift it up, then I would notice that there was play in it. But as in standing on it, I don't notice a difference. The nice thing about that too is when I'm ready to change it out, if I decide never, like if I was gonna leave the plywood and wanted to change like the carpet itself, just pull the staples, put new carpet around it, and good to go. So that's something that I've the reason why I did staples versus some of the other things. The other thing that I would probably didn't show that I probably should have showed is how I mounted the trolling motor. So a lot of people do mounts and actually build mounts. The one thing I was having trouble with was finding something to build it out of that it wasn't going to cost me a whole bunch of money. I already had a lot of money in the boat, and I didn't want to put a bunch more into it. So what I did was, and I've seen a few videos where they did it, but basically they drilled holes in the side of their little rub rail, the round rail on that boat, and bolted it through. And I used self-tapping screws the first time I did it, and it worked okay, but I could tell that there was movement, so I went ahead and drilled it in the next time I went out, drilled holes out, and then bolted it through. So you have two bolts, exposed bolts on the outside of the rub rail, and then one bolt that runs through the front deck, and it comes out on the bottom. Those bolts can be a little hard to deal with, so I would probably mock it up. I actually did this after the boat was already in the water before, and at the end of a fishing trip I did it, and it was definitely not fun to try to sit there and do it without having a bunch of the tools that I needed to. But I made it happen. It works really, really well. Atypical Outdoors came down, Eric from Atypical, he came down this past week, and we did a lot of fishing out of that boat, and it works really well. I was very, very surprised on how much I could go through with that trolling motor, it only being a 45-pound thrust trolling motor, but it does go through a lot. The next addition I will do to this boat is I'll probably end up putting a micro power pole on it. That's really the next big thing. Obviously I ran the wires from the trolling motor to the back of the boat, and that was a little bit of a difficulty, but it wasn't too hard. It was just a little annoying because the way that boat's designed, it was really hard to get the wires into the back bench and then out from the back bench. So I had to drill a couple of little holes and run some wires through, and once I did that, I was fine. But that would be the next big thing, is the micro power pole, which will add, I'll have to probably add another small battery. I can probably run it on the battery that I have, because the worst I've got it down to is about 50% on an 8-hour day, which is not bad. But just in case, you know, if I end up using the power poles a lot, I would like to have a little small AGM battery probably, to just have that going. But other than that, that's really about it. I might add a fish finder here in a few weeks, but we'll see how that goes. Most of the stuff I'm fishing is stuff I know or I'm learning, and I seem to learn a lot by not having a fish finder and having to use my brain and kind of what I see, and then casting out. Like I do a lot of, I'll throw out like a lot of heavy weights and drag them to kind of figure out what the contour is like and where the cover is, and that's something I've done since I was young, and I figured out that that's a good way to find the fish if you don't have a fish finder. Or at least find the structure and the contour lines. So that's the one thing I have done differently, and maybe I'll do it differently coming forward, so we'll see how that goes. But other than that, that's my John boat build. If you have any other questions, I'll post a few pictures up here in a moment, and I'll kind of show you what the finished product looked like. But you'll see the finished product in our videos, so you know, just keep watching the videos. Like I said, I have a collab video coming up with Atypical. He'll probably post that video here this week. I'll probably post it about the same time. My edited version, his edited version, and I also have a bed fishing video that'll come out probably right before that. Actually, probably right after this one. I'll probably do this one today, which is Sunday, and then or Monday, and then I'll probably finish it up with a video on bed fishing either Monday or Tuesday, and then probably release my version of our collab video on Wednesday. So bam, 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 that's 3 days in a row. You'll get videos at least Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, if not Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So you'll get 3 days in a row. So hopefully y'all like the videos, and just keep watching. We got a bunch of new stuff coming soon, so I'm excited. Thank y'all.